people ask us about this a lot as well. There seems to be a gap in understanding how to be a human being from our parents' generation to Gen Z. Like, we've been able to figure it out, but we haven't done a very good job of communicating it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like I can't tell if we're just treading water and it's been so much just constant bullshit that, or maybe it's the digital age and kids are being raised by iPads now. But it seems like we haven't done a very good job of being a conduit about how to be a person.
To the people that are millennials to the people that are Gen Zers or whatever now?
Yeah. So from boomer and older X to younger X and millennial to Z.
Well, the problem with the boomer to our generation, right, is that the world changed so much. All the wisdom that our parents accrued no longer really works in this world. What are you going to tell me about how to date in a world that didn't have smartphones, let alone Instagram, let alone Tinder, right? You have a global dating marketplace now. When our parents were growing up, it was probably 2-to-1 men to women in college. And by 2030, it's going to be 2-to-1 women to men at four-year US colleges. Women are out earning men between 20 and 30 by £1,000 a year. That would have been reversed by a huge margin. So all of the dynamics around things that people really care about, where they can live has been opened up with remote work.
Right.
What they can do for a job, people don't have jobs for life anymore. The way that they get a relationship, all of that's changed. And we now have a society which is the oldest that it's ever been on average, and has the longest to live that it's ever had. So people are living longer and they're currently the oldest on average. All of it, it's just, everything's upside down. So kind of part of it is like, well, how would they have had many lessons that you could have passed on? However, I do agree that it is certainly the duty of the people now that are accruing that wisdom to try and pass it down, to try and teach people to operate well.
I think there's probably some fundamentals, right? Like being a decent human being.
Telling the truth is the first one.
Well, telling the truth is in short supply. And not even just from person to person, but being honest with oneself now seems to be elusive. And it's interesting you mentioned the dynamics of human pair bonding. I mean, it's almost like diet, right? So 10,000 years ago, we struggled to find sugar and carbs, and we crave them now. Biologically, like at our core, we crave them, but we don't really need that shit like we used to. And part of the being honest thing is being honest about what the dynamics of gender attraction have been over the years, right? Women are better at certain things. Men are better at certain things, hunting and fucking shit up and protecting people. Women are better at teaching kids how to not be assholes. But from the masculine point of view, I've always considered the main tenets of that to be to provide and protect, right? Just from a tribal humanity all the way through the present. And I guess if women are going to begin to out-earn men, that does disrupt that dynamic in some way. It isn't. I don't know why people would consider that taboo or sexist to even have that conversation, because it's reality that's happening. So maybe respond to what reality is, right? In a way that you can still be responsible. You don't have to be a cunt about everything. It seems like anytime you're disagreeable about something, like, no, that doesn't make sense. They're like, what are you, fucking transphobe? Like, no, dude, I'm just saying it doesn't make sense.
Well,
Please explain it to me.
It's a unique situation that we're in now, where women are out-earning men. And you have a lot of movements that have come out of the side of this, right? So for the first time ever since records began, more than 50% of women are childless by 30, which is a bit of a shock. You have the number of men between the ages of 18 and 30 reporting no sex in the last year has tripled in the last 10 years, right? That's tripled in the last 10 years. That's wild to go through that. You have rates of divorce increasing, globalized sexual marketplace, all this sort of stuff. These are just changes to the environment. This isn't, you don't need to make a value judgment around this. But if people don't know, or if people aren't told, you can't adapt the way that you live appropriately.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's it. In no way, in no facet of life, whether it's math or science or, building something or being a doctor, like if you have bad data, that's not going to work out.
Less information is never a good thing.
And bad information is also like garbage in, garbage out. That's what GIGO, it's a data phrase that a lot of people use. And we seem to have, I like the phrase from John Haidt, prepare your kids for the road, don't prepare the road for your kids. Because you can't always do one, right? But we see our when I say our, I mean just establishment politics and social elites have kind of made it a point to have their reaction be to protect people from reality instead of to expose them to reality and teach them how to navigate it. Right? I mean, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I'm not sure we've ever done that as a species before.
Well, you've got two ways to bring somebody's capabilities in line with the challenges that they're going to meet, right? You can either bring their capabilities up or you can draw the challenges down. Right. And that's what helicopter or snowplow parenting, which is where you just completely move everything out of the way. I think we were talking about this on the show last time to do with the increases in peanut allergies.
Right, yep.
So people may be aware that you have a certain number of children that are predisposed to peanuts, but a purposeful exposure to them at low levels, you can actually buy, I think it's rice puffs coated in a very fine peanut dusting. And over time, you increase the dosage. It's like 1%, 5%, 10%, so on and so forth. And you do that over the course of a few months. And that actually enables that child to no longer be allergic to peanuts by the age of 3 or something. But if you don't do it and you wait until 5, then that's it. You're locked in for life. And what you have, because the furor around peanuts has meant that everything has been completely blitzed of it, children aren't having their, whatever you would say, like serendipitous exposure to it. Right.
But I mean, it's got that's the same. That's a very specific biological example of that. But think of all the social examples, right? Like low-level conflict resolution is so important for people. The metaphor I like to use is we start out really close together and we're whispering like, hey, I don't like that. Then we get farther apart and we're like full volume, hey, I don't like that. And then we're farther apart and we're yelling, hey, I don't fucking like that. And then we're so far apart that the only thing that we can reach each other with are projectiles, right? Like bombs and bullets and shit. And that seems to be happening. The more you stave off low-level conflict, the larger it becomes. I mean, we know that in our personal lives. You can't just fucking pretend like a problem doesn't exist into perpetuity and expect it's just going to go away. Bad news doesn't get better with time. And in every other fucking field of expertise, we do this. If you're teaching a kid to play baseball, you start out with a tee and a ball. Then a coach is pitching to him. Then they're pitching to each other. The mound gets farther. The field gets bigger. Yesterday was opening day for baseball. That's why I'm talking about baseball. I know you don't understand how it works.
Cricket, mate. You guys should try cricket.
I'm going to. Actually, our producer Bob over there.
I'm fucking down.
He downloaded a fucking cricket video game on his phone. He's been playing it.
Let's fucking
I
go.
have been, and I just I'm a total dick to all the foreigners that I beat in it when I beat them in it. Like you can't like type shit. You can't be like, yeah, I own you, you fucking Indian. But like you can like put out emojis that convey that you fucking
some poor 12-year-old from Bangladesh.
Yeah,
being
it's
abused
a kid that has
you.
nothing else in life.
Yeah,
and you took what he did have away from
the
him.
amount of
See, this is why you don't have nice things.
It is, yeah, it is for sure. But yeah, anyways, the baseball metaphor is apt, and it's the same way. Like if you were training somebody on a dangerous piece of machinery, or even how to use a language, you start at the basics and you work your way up. And one of the most important things a human being is ever going to learn is how to treat and interact with other people, right? That might be the most important thing you ever learn. And we've taken that away from kids. Like if we see kids arguing on the playground, like, no, that's bullying. That's not okay. And maybe some of it is bullying, but there's going to be bullies in life.
So this is something that I keep on finding in pretty much every conversation I have, that there's a kernel of truth at the very sort of epicenter of it. And then what's happened is that's been blown out of proportion. And the kernel of truth that you have with that is some interactions between kids that involve disagreement is bullying.
For sure, yeah.
Therefore, there should be some amount of interjection done by teachers. If you just said, right, it's a free-for-all, it's like fucking Lord of the Flies or the Hunger Games or something.
Yeah.
Out in the playground. That's not going to work. But again, because of this overbearing, overreaching lack of discomfort that we have, that we're predisposed to now. But dude, think about if your parents can Postmates a Michelin star meal to their house while they watch Netflix from a TV they Amazon primed from their phone. That, you know, everything now has snowplowed discomfort out of the world.
Yeah.
To the point that if you're not somebody that actively seeks it, it's very easy to avoid it.
It is. We've made like our hobbies now are to seek discomfort. It's so fucking weird.
We go out of our way to find active discomfort.
We have to, because society's tried to shield it. And look, one of the functions of society is to shield us from existential threats. And we've somehow managed to conflate discomfort with an existential threat when that could not be farther from the truth. Like, the only reason we exist is because of the discomfort we've gone through. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Otherwise, you can see people who avoid discomfort. Typically overweight, purple hair, right? I mean, for a very long time, from the 70s, probably until the late 90s, maybe early 2000s, excuse me, these folks kind of hid from society, or they had these little cliques. They were goth kids, or they were whatever, right? Out groups. And at some point, they were convinced that it wasn't their duty to find a way to join and navigate society, but it was society's duty to come find them and bring them, on board.